Hello, I am the OBG. I cut that short. I've got some people in the room. I changed it to 2 minutes today, but I decided to leave it. I've just had some stuff in my head today. Anyway, good evening all. Thanks for coming in. And I've titled this one, we have to stop fighting each other. And it was just about some things that popped into my head today, some philosophical musings, and some of my thoughts on what I observe in people recently in regards to how they interact with me and how I see people interacting with each other. And on the grander scheme of things, the fact that we've got a fight on our hands against a system that's oppressing us. So stick with me and we'll take it from there. Right, so hello, I am the OBG. And so today, as I said, I was thinking about how often we end up in conflict with each other and how the divide has grown between people over so many things in recent years. And I partly put that down to the internet. The internet was supposed to bring us together. It was supposed to bring us knowledge and allow us to communicate, to help each other grow. But instead of that, we end up fighting over what's true, about the knowledge that we found, and dishonestly point a finger at each other about our traits and our values. So I'll explain in a future show my reasons for believing that we're continually fed nonsense and kept in a childlike state in order to benefit those that hold the reins of power. But for now, I'll talk about those things that came in my head, this morning when I woke up. So one of the things that I hold to be true of almost everybody is that they have a dark side. And we call it the dark side in opposition to the light, the bad in the opposite to the good, the yin and the yang, and countless other names. And there's a duality, and it's a part of us that we choose to hide rather than keep at bay. And I believe this is what creates trauma for many people and a deep conflict in regard to this inherent duality. Now, there are countless books that expound the virtues of ridding ourselves of the darkness and living in the light. And my view is that they're simply incorrect in their assessments about who and what we are. And there's a whole swathe of them out there. Now, it spawned a whole genre of books, in fact, self-help books that focus on shedding the dark, with many incorrectly, in my view, advising people to shed their egos. And there are many books on the subject which also claim to know the answer or the secret. There isn't one. We have the answers within ourselves. Let me explain. Now, in the world, as well, Schopenhauer writes about the idea that it's a perennial philosophical reflection that if we look deeply enough into ourselves, we'll discover not only our own essence, but also the essence of the universe, because we're part of the universe, as is everything else. And the basic energies of the universe flow through us as they flow through everything else. And for that reason, it's thought that we can come into contact with the nature of the universe if we come into substantial contact with our ultimate being. Now, think on this for a moment. Whenever you're in the deepest recess of mental turmoil, who do you turn to for resolution after you've exhausted all external options? You look inwards every single time. Once you've exhausted every external avenue in the form of friends, strangers, a book you may have read, self-help videos, expensive holidays, erratic purchases, pornography, food, or any other material form of self-gratification. Now, ultimately, you stop, or you may be arrested by the weight of your issue, and only then do you face your strongest opponent, you. It's the toughest challenge and a lonely but necessary journey. Often people are unforgiving, and you can hear them voice their disdain as they accuse others or every other person for not helping them or being there during their toughest times. Hear me now and believe me later. Nobody ever will be there for you. It doesn't work that way. Everybody, like the foundations of a building, is there to support you, to hold you up while you do battle. And if you blame them every time you fall, you'll lose friends fast. Now, I spoke about projection in a previous show, and I'll explain briefly again what I mean by projection. So, and do note that I'm talking about projection in this classical psychoanalytical theory, which says that it's the unconscious reaction that the ego uses to protect itself from anxiety arising from psychic conflict. So projection's a process whereby one subject believes that they see attributes, both good or bad, in another person. And this theory views that this tendency has a use as a defense mechanism where something is unviable or unpleasant, a trait or an impulse, and those ideas that we hold on to, we then attribute them to another person. And in this way, the person doing the projection, the projector, is unable to avoid the unpleasantness in themselves. So people want to hold on to themselves as being above other people and conclude subjectively, that's the only way, that they're not at all like the negative that they see in other people. And we have to know ourselves, we have to be honest with ourselves, and we have to understand that while we point the fingers at other people, we're everything that we see in other people. And there's so many conflicts of interest in the world, yet we claim to have values and morals, which is a consequence of our development of our society. And it's nothing absolute. It's not the truth, and it can be explained. However, we're fed knowledge more so than experiencing it. And we have to be able to see beyond the things that we hold to be true, and even hold on to the notion that there is no truth. And our values that we believe are better than others, when we take the moral high ground, serves no purpose, because morality is relative. Each person, culture and society, they form their own set of rules. Now, we need each other, that's a fact, not the truth, thinking it now. We have to find the resolve to challenge ourselves, and we have to find the resolve to work with each other. Now, there's a race, however, it's internal. There isn't a human race. As a community, we can help each other to get to a finishing line, not the finishing line. We all have different ideals, different dreams and different goals. And if you can make it to the line, good. If you can't make it or you quit trying, then like so many people, you're likely to end up whining and claiming you're a victim or pointing towards other people's efforts to succeed or to survive. And you'll end up ridiculing them in their struggles. Now, I experience this phenomenon quite regularly. I can only talk about me here. And this is when people push and they're trying to invoke our dark side. They want to see where we bend or where we break, and they disguise their bad behaviours by often joking or saying they're joking, or worse, they're saying that they was only winding you up. Now, why would anybody want to do that to another human being? Once again, it's projection. Those people, they're not coping with their issues, or they're driven by their insecurity about their feelings, and they attempt to elicit the negative in other people to console themselves with the knowledge that others are having a hard time or will rise to anger, and it pacifies them. And that false comfort means that they stop working on themselves, satisfied that the other people get angry too. Now, we're complete as human beings, everything about us. Yet there's a whole industry out there selling books, holding seminars and expensive retreats, advising people to shed their egos and to become enlightened. How? Now, you cannot be enlightened by the light alone. Where there's light, there will always be shadows. And if we never look into the shadows, then we're going to be in constant fear, we're going to remain ignorant, and we're going to be afraid of the dark. And the things that exist in our minds that were put there are mostly not of our own doing or of our own experience. We've been taught concepts based on society's morality as good, evil, duty, truth, correct, and so on. And it's up to each person to analyse the things objectively, creating our own values based on this analysis and the knowledge of oneself. And we have to embrace life, and we must accept the past, no matter how bad it was. We must accept the future and embrace it as a projection of our present actions. And once we learn to accept life for what it is, we'll have little regret, and we can focus our will of improving. Now, I've tried to remain positive, but negative things have just popped into my mind, and that's about hope. Okay, so my view on hope, and I've shared this before, I'll just do it really briefly, is that we shouldn't live in hope. I spoke about Pandora's box in a tidbit some time ago in an old show, and not many people know this, but after all the evils were let out of the box, which was actually a jar, hope was left in the jar. And this has been a point of debate amongst philosophers as to why hope was left in the box and what its true meaning is. Now, my thoughts are that hope promises ideals that will or won't happen, and that are possibly not true. And to take refuge in hope leads people to have a sheep mentality, to believe things that don't exist in order to make it easier to live, to have easier lives. And hope ruins humans and society too. Hope is a wall that prevents evolution. And we're facing the toughest challenge of our lives right now here in the rich old West. And we have to look inwards, we have to look at ourselves, and we have to know the answers. Then we meet as a community to share those ideas, and we cut the head off of the beast. And once we know ourselves, only then can we communicate without judging each other or without judgment. We've got a fight ahead of us. Switch off your television sets and learn something about yourself. I am the OBG. Right, that's that. Phew. I spent all day reading that. Right, okay. So, hello, Justice. Hello, David. Hello, Patsy. I'm back to normal. I went into deep voice mode when I get serious. My voice goes really deep. You know, it's quite funny because I'm excited when I do the shows. But when I meet people in person, they say, "Wow, your voice is really deep," or it rumbles. But when I do the show, I'm like, OBG. Anyway, on that note, I just wanted to pop in, do a show, cut it, put it on YouTube, leave it live. I do everything live. So if I have any thoughts and feelings, I do them live also. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for watching me. And remember, I've got a whole load of shows planned, and I have to do this every time. If I don't, people forget. The OBG Show runs on donations. Please consider making a donation to the OBG Show on any of the numbers below, or the number below for the direct account, or to the OBG Show PayPal account, so that we can keep on running into 2021. Thanks for listening. I'm going to do that every time, make out it's a pre-recording. Okay, so yeah, try and get those numbers. Do send a donation. The funds are really, really low right now, and it's caused me a little bit of concern over here. And I want the show to run just as you do. It's a show about the people, by the people, for the people. I'll be doing news. I'll be doing some investigative stuff, my beliefs, things I hold to be true, things that others I trust hold to be true, and the things that we communicate about here too. And I'll be delivering those to people. The viewers are growing and growing in numbers. I think we have a target audience. I don't know the demographic, but we're reaching people. So if you have a story that you want to share, or you want me to repeat, or you have a piece that you've written that you want me to memorize and present it verbatim with the odd errors, send that to the OBG chat at gmail.com. And oh no, it's misaligned. Send that to obgchat at gmail.com, and I'll have a chat with you, and I'll let you know if I can use it or if I'm willing to use it. As I said, I can't just say yes to everyone, and I'm not going to only take the stuff that I think suits me. I'll listen to anything that's contrary to my views and beliefs as well. If you want to appear on the show, send me a message. And if you want to come in as a co-host to talk about a subject, we can do that. If you want to come in and be interviewed, and it doesn't matter what it is, I have a series called Ordinary People. If you're a butcher, baker, or a candlestick maker, if you're a seamstress, if you're a poet, if you're a musician, no DJs. In fact, come on DJs, I knock them a lot. If you're a DJ and you want to come on the show and you want to talk about what DJing is, and the positive side of DJing, please do come on the show. And that's about it. Right, okay. Thanks for that, Justice. I'm glad you liked it. Hello, Nicola. Yeah, I have to do that sometimes because often I try and engage with the audience and then I fluff my lines up. And I think I pulled it off today anyway because I went into deep voice mode. Well, not the same as a can of worms. Well, no, actually, sorry. Can of worms, yes, because it's about letting the ills out. But I think a can of worms doesn't leave anything in the can. Pandora's box left hope in the box. It was actually a jar. And I covered that in a tidbit. If you go back, type in OBG Show and Pandora's box, and you might find it. If you are truly interested, send me a message via PM, and I'll dig it out for you, and I'll send you a link personally. So if there's anyone who wants to ask me anything about the subject I talked about my views, feelings on us, our minds, what we believe about experience, and the epistemological way of learning, of understanding life and so on, I can answer those questions. If you want to ask me anything else aside from that, apart from today's topics, just anything, I'll answer it. And if I can't, then I say I can't. I'll give it a bloody good go. Right. Okay, let me just do my little angry filler as well. I was going to play that after today's, but I forgot to. So let's have a little test. I can cut this out afterwards. Superb. Okay. So, no, I mean, it's fine. Sorry, Patsy, sometimes, even though I'm laughing and smiling, that comes natural to me anyway, but I'm focusing dead serious here. I'm watching all the monitors and, everything else. And sometimes I read a comment and I tend to go, like I fire on it. And as I said if you're new in here, I'm not having a go at the person. I say to everybody, if you're going to challenge something, challenge the words. It's not about the person. If I say, it's good to drink poison, don't judge me on that alone. There's a million other facets to who I am. Okay, so I'm a bit of a killer, but challenge me on those words and challenge that idea. But don't necessarily think I'm a bad person, and don't take it personally. So sometimes someone says something in the room and I respond to that alone, and then sometimes I iron it out and I learn something new, or maybe they change their mind. But it's not about the person. No one can do wrong. Who's to judge? Who's to judge? Right, okay. Hope is a cheap cop-out. If anyone wants to expand on that, go ahead. And the American government, they use it as part of their campaign to get Obama in, because they know most of us are fickle. So they've done the whole campaign around hope. And hope is where we believe in something unseen, something unknown, something that could happen or might not happen. And living life like that is folly. As I spoke about earlier, we have to be forgiving of the past. And that's so important. Digest that and really believe it, because sometimes people just use words loosely. Oh yeah, we ought to, like live and let live. And it's easy to say the words, but if you don't live by that, then it has no true meaning. Now, for that one about forgiving the past, you have to forgive the past. The past is cruel. You lose loved ones. You may lose your job. You may lose a house, material goods, but we need those things to survive in this world. So you have to be forgiving of the past and say, that's what's happened already. And then you have to have the will to make a better future. And all that living in the now, and having a good time, great. But I know so many people who are still alive, had a fantastic time, threw caution to the wind, and now they have nothing. And it's not about material goods here. I'm talking about building themselves. So we have to look towards a brighter future, no matter what the situation is now. Otherwise, we lose the will to live. Hopeless, it depends. If you're hopeless, it might be good if hope's bad. Who knows? Right, okay. Hello, Mark. What about sending out your first show? It'd be good to see that. I played a little bit of it when I'd done the end of year show, but I will send stuff out, and I've kept little snippets of all the mistakes I've made for the bloopers every time I hit the wrong buttons. When I kept saying, oops, I didn't want that to happen. I tend not to do it so much no more. I've got a bit polished. DIY, best way. Good meeting fighters on the way. Hope is a bit cheap and a cop out. Do a good meeting fighters on the way. I'm not sure what you mean there exactly, Justice, but you mean like to meet other people and to meet some challenges, because that's very important that we meet and take those challenges on. As I've said to many people before, nothing's personal. It's an event, and you were part of that event. So how you deal with it, how you resolve it, whatever interaction you had with that event, is how you stay strong to move forwards. And I know it sounds strong and stupid, but I say I'm walking down the road, a guy comes and slaps me around the face. My first instance is, well, what did he do that for? I get on my guard and I think to myself, okay, he's had a bad day. He's worse off than I am for some reason. It wasn't just a mad, violent attack or someone with mental health problems or so on. I have the wherewithal to make better of the situation than rise into anger. So I step back, I ask him what his problem is. If he doesn't want to talk, he goes, I walk on. I don't feel like I've been targeted. I don't say, why me? Because for every variable that you add to an event, it makes it more complicated. And this event, there was that man and me and the punch in the face. 3 things. And the facts are that he punched me on the face and then he walked away. I tried to talk to him and he didn't respond. I can add another variable. I can chase him. Oi, what was that all about? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, let it go. It didn't happen to you. It happened and you were there. And I know it sounds silly, but that's how I live my life. And it really does me well. And it's not about ignorance or pretending bad things don't happen. Bad things happen because we have this, as I just explained, the light and dark. But for me, that may be considered a dark thing, but it's part of life. So I can't walk down the road every day and everyone's going to smile at me and good things are going to happen. Something negative is going to happen too. And I think, wow, I've had 5 really fantastic days. And on day 6, I got a smack in the face. And I'm not going to inflate it and say, yeah, but, it's a smack in the face. It's not like exactly someone called you a name or something. It's like you're making more of what happened than is. I'm still breathing. I'm alive. I didn't die. There's no injury. There's no loss. I move on. I share the story, as you do, on Facebook. And I'm still happy. Okay, no time for conflict with matey on the street. Absolutely, and that takes some learning as well, because we hold on to things, as I just said then, through inflation, where we grow things beyond what they truly are. I've been walking down the street and someone shouting, oh, Blackie, or something like that. And I carried on walking. Now that guy's left with the pain. Oh, that guy didn't respond to me. And he tries again louder. Now he's just shouting and using a lot of energy. And the energy isn't coming back to him. So he's wasting energy. It's nice when you get energy back. I talk to you. I push for jokes, you push back. We do things, we have banter, we talk about serious things. And the time that I spend with you, which is what I always say, time is our commodity. I get a return on my investment immediately. I spend 5 minutes with you, I get 5 minutes back. And that's the energy that we share. For this guy who called me the names, I carried on walking. It hasn't even caught up with me. The first one did, and the rest of them are slow. But on other occasions, I've gone out of my way. I could have been killed. What did you say? And I want to turn it into something. I heard perfectly well what he said, but I chose to make conflict of it. So I say to everyone, be bigger than the event. Some of the events are bigger than us. Those are the ones where we fall over. But try to be bigger than the event. Don't let it make you into the monster. We are monsters, all of us anyway. And that's something we have to deal with. We all have a dark side. You have to look into yourself and know this. This is why I talk about violence sometimes. It's not because I've been traumatized and, I'm some crazy man, but I know the worth of violence, and I will fight, and I do fight, and I have fought, and I'm not ashamed to say it. Oh, you shouldn't fight and peace. I'm a pacifist. Good on you. But if you keep on chasing the light and you don't deal with the dark side or bad events and embrace them, every time you have a bad event, it's like new, and you're going to fall over and it's going to hurt. You have to embrace them sometimes. Oh, woe is me. Shed the tears. Deal with it. Let it in. Feel it. Hold it, embrace it, and say, this is what the darkness feels like. I don't like it, but it goes away every time. Every single person in this room now, you've been through it. Look at you now. You sat there and you've got life. I don't know if anyone's going through a bad time right now. I can't say. But even then, you're here. You're doing something. You're being active. You're working through it. Keep on working through things. We're amazing. All of us, we've all got superpowers. Got to take the rough with the smooth. Absolutely. And Matt, you have to believe in that. You have to believe it. There's so many tropes and people just say them, but you have to own that. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. And words are easy. And once again, as I said earlier, I don't think it was in the room, I'm not having a go at Matt. I'm challenging what he's saying, and he's free to bounce back. You have to believe in what you say, and you end up saying less because your strength comes from very few things. And this is why I have my strength, and I think this is why people try to push me. Is this guy as happy as he says? I don't ever say I'm happy. I always say I'm content. I have the rough and smooth. But people want to keep pushing. They want to keep pushing. Is he as smart as he thinks he is? So they keep asking me clever questions. Or is he as calm as he says? Just let's keep on pushing his buttons. Is he as tough as he is? People want to fight me. They want to ask me tough questions. They want to keep on pushing and pushing and pushing. But sometimes I explode. And I go hard. And they're shocked. Didn't expect that. It's like, don't push. Right, anyway. Absolutely, Patsy, walk away, Too much pride. If I'm walking down the street, and I got told off for this by many men with my girlfriend, and someone shouts an insult at my girlfriend, something nasty, I carry on walking. I'm not going to defend her honor. I'm not going to take the chance of dying because a man used his vocal cords to vibrate the airwaves and make a sound about her. She's not going to feel good. I'll have to console her maybe. Or if she's a strong woman, I date the strong ones. She's likely to want to pull me away if I was going to go and have a confrontation with these people. So the point I was making there was walk away. As long as no one's in your face and, going to cause you any harm, walk away every time. And learn to debate. If someone says something you don't like, and we've all got those soft spots, we don't even know where they are most of the time. When you say, oh no, I'm easygoing, like I can take it, I can handle things, and that you really can't. There's so many buttons that can be pushed on all of us, but they get lesser with age if you keep an open mind. And the more you learn about yourself and experience. So you could be as wise as a 50-year-old man at 28, but you have to keep on learning. Make sure you keep on learning. Leo the Lion. I'm Virgo. I'm a Virgil. I'm pure. Anyway, I'm a Virgo. Virgos don't believe in horoscopes. Right. Anything new coming in? Anyone want to say anything? If not, I'm going to call it a day. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for hearing me out. I'm going to cut that little section out and put it on YouTube, but I'll leave this show on live as it is. And, okay, Smith Matt, I do believe it. After 10 years in the building trade and loving my job, I've recently fallen on hard times. Can you read that, guys? I can't. All right. Fantastic. Beautifully worded. Now, for me, I'm going to analyse this guy just for this moment. I believe him. No one can write something with that much meaning in such short time unless they were that kind of person or a real fake. I believe you. I believe every word. And you've fallen on hard times and you're not disheartened and you know you will bounce back. It's the knowing. Because even if it doesn't happen, you didn't take the challenge on with a negative mind. And that's how I live my life, Matt. I say to myself, people go, oh yeah, but when we get there, it might be closed. I said, well, no, when we get there, let's not dampen the ambience. Let's get there, Oh, it's a bit far. Yes, it is far, but we have to go. So let's just keep on walking and so on. And I found that easy because I believe, and I recommend to everyone, I read a lot of philosophy and psychology as a child, from 12. I keep on talking about it because it seems important to me. It's not the answer to everything, but it helped me to learn about myself. And in doing so, it made me strong and resolute. And I want everyone else to understand that they have superpowers and to use those superpowers and to understand who you are. We're ordinary people. No one has to be fantastic and great. You don't have to be a rock star to live. You don't have to be famous. You just have to be you. And when you stand back and go, I'm just a regular person, then you learn to love yourself more. I love myself, and I learned to love myself a long time ago. I've always been front and center. Something that shaped me to do that when I was a kid. So I've carried it into my adulthood. It's not like, I'm a show off. It's what I need. That's how I survive. For all my negativity, I think I'm very honest on Facebook. I'm not my post though. But when I have a problem, I share it with people, and I do that with the people around me. So I work from the feedback of other people, and I recommend that to everyone. Work with the feedback you get on other people. Don't decide that you are this thing. Otherwise, you create a box and you start living in your own vacuum. And you have to understand that other people have a different view of you, every single other person. And if you take a little of everybody, especially from those who love you, and they're very few, then you start understanding who you are. And it's a lifetime's journey anyway. But if you just decide, and I've seen people, I'm really honest, I am. Oh no, I'm no, there's no one as truthful as me. And it's like, we're all liars. We all tell lies. If you can't admit that to yourself, who are you? I'm always nice to people. I'm always kind, always. It's like, really? Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you've done an unkind act, even if it's not what you do all the time. And you're going to do another one at some time. And you know that of yourself, or even though you're capable of it, even if you've shed that most of it is your behavior, then you're going to grow and you're going to understand who you are. And life just seems wonderful. And this is what I've experienced for the longest time, and this is why I want to share it. It's not about talking about how great I am, it's about saying how great you are. And I think I can convince people of that because I've been through wars and I'm still smiling because of the way I think. And the more we think about ourselves, not ourselves alone, but sometimes we have to be selfless and sometimes we have to be selfish, and we look inwards and keep looking inwards, and the answer lays there. It doesn't lay in self-help books. There's very few of them that are good. I'm not going to knock everybody, but the rest of them, like anything else, if there's a new fad, boom, everyone capitalizes on it. Right, that's enough slagging people off. Denial, absolutely, Patsy. Denial's the one. And I'll do a show on denial. If you send me a PM, I will. If you don't, I'll forget. Send me a PM and I'll write something up for that. Positive thinking, absolutely. It goes a very long way, positive thinking. And that is, for me, I think the key, because it's how we think. And if you try to stay positive, even about the negative things, like you say to yourself, I'm having a negative experience right now, and I'm going to let it ride. You're being positive about the negative experience, as odd as it may sound, and it helps you to recuperate, to recover much quicker. Right, and on that note, thank you for coming in tonight. You are amazing. And I am the OBG. That didn't work.